the real situation here, and this is actually really interesting. So we took all of the elements of the Trump assassination. We go back to that day. We go back to Crooks. We go back to the security dropping. We go back to the fact that there were officers of the Butler and Beaver ESU, the SWAT teams that were supposed to be in the AGR building, that dropped their coverage right when he was walking around the building. The fact that he was able to climb up there, the fact that he was jumping and leaping from rooftop to rooftop like he was in a video game, like in Assassin's Creed, like he's doing parkour up there. And he's able to get a shot off, a number of shots, 8 shots off on Trump and the crowd. That all of this happens. He's on video from cell phone cameras. He's on video from body cam. Again, this is all out in the public record. And they mean to tell us that the Secret Service couldn't tell Trump to stay back when that happened, that they couldn't hold him off stage, that we know, by the way, that they denied his security requests. We know that they denied all of this. We know that his drone was working when their drone was not. We know that he had 3 encrypted foreign accounts from overseas. And as you say, CNN was broadcasting this live. They never usually broadcast live. And actually, in addition to all of that, I keep asking, why did the Secret Service not have this building covered? And how did he know that this building would not be covered? Why did his drone work and the Secret Service's drone not work? And so we took all of this. This is actually what's interesting. We took all of this stuff, and just as a kind of social experiment, we went to, you like social experiments.
Love them.
We went to, and I've never said this anywhere yet, so this will be the first time I kind of break this. So in the book, Bulletproof, How a Shot Meant for Donald Trump Took Out Joe Biden, we took all of those elements that I just described to you, what we call them the 12 breaches, and we input it into GPT-4 Omni. And GPT-4 Omni is like the latest OpenAI, whatever the most advanced iterate, not ChatGPT, but their actual large language model. And we put it all in and said, what do you think? It spat back out us a mathematical probability that said there is a 1 in 1 septillion chance that this happened by accident. This is saying this, and look, we've been breaking news after news, just even on the show as we've been writing the book. So we put out the word first. We found the video of him walking around at the rally with these people around him. He doesn't seem, to be
Jack,
leading the way.
In that video, I thought he was by himself, and he doesn't have his guns or anything. So where were his guns? That video is super viral. I know you posted it where he's just walking, strolling around. So now you're saying there's people that were with him in that video. I didn't notice that.
If you look very closely in the video, and I'm currently in the process of tracking down people. So if you notice, there's actually a Turning Point action table behind him. And so obviously being Turning Point, so I know the people who are running that. It was Pennsylvania. It's my home state, so I know the guy. And we're working on contacting everybody who went to that table to see if they have video from around that 4:26 p.m. timeframe that he was walking around. Because it appears as though he might be following someone who's at that event. Again, we're not sure exactly. But you got to do the work, and we're currently doing the work. Then we were the ones who first put out the information this was from an EOD source, so a bomb tech source that we had within the federal government that said this was not a pipe bomb that was used. Not a pipe bomb. So if it was not a pipe bomb, which is the most commonly known, the most commonly used improvised explosive device for quote unquote domestic terrorists, why would he not have used this? Why would he have taken it upon himself to use a more sophisticated explosive? Why would he put something together with ammo cans, with, we're told, a 3-frequency detonator? Again, things that are just way more sophisticated than you would ever possibly need if you were attempting to blow up your own car or create a distraction or any of these things. And then third, we were the ones who we've already uncovered that there is a grand jury in Western Pennsylvania that is looking at this situation for the potential purposes of criminal charges. That's ongoing right now, and we've uncovered some subpoenas or evidence of these subpoenas that they've been submitting to people in the area. And all this stands to reason that they're either looking at charging the father or potentially did he have accomplices in that crowd that he was working with. And now, Alex, as I'm sure you're aware, it'd be very interesting to all of us to know who, if he did have accomplices, what was the identity of those accomplices? What connections did those accomplices potentially have? We've even...
Say it.
I'll put it this way.
Say it, Jack.
We've contacted some local private investigators. We've enlisted the help of a private investigative unit in Western Pennsylvania. And with the private investigators, we have uncovered some evidence that indicates that he was in communication or potentially even meeting people in secluded areas prior to this event taking place. And no, I'm not talking about the gun range, and no, I'm not talking about
the FBI, his cell phone. Didn't his cell phone ping by the FBI, Jack? Is that correct, or is that?
There is a potential ping near a potential address associated with the FBI, with that the Heritage Foundation put out on with their oversight project. We are working to potentially try to confirm that through our own purchasing of commercial data, although it seems to be only one ping. And typically when you have an association with a person or a device in a physical location, you in the Navy or in the intel community we would call that signals intelligence or SIGINT. So you'd see multiple pings over what would be considered a pattern of life. So this guy worked at his house. He lived at his house. He occasionally went to the gun range. He also worked at this nursing home. So you see his devices at the home, his device at the gun range, his device at the nursing home, his devices at his home, and then all of a sudden he's in this secluded area, and he's at this other secluded area. Then he goes back to home. So we're working on determining. We know what those areas are. I'm not going to put that out right now, because we currently have people that are looking into this, but we're also looking at what devices may have been meeting with him in these areas during those timeframes.
Was he a homosexual? What was his sexual orientation? Because some people said he was transgender. No, I mean, I'm serious. There's different stories. Was he dating? What was his personal life?
I've seen those theories. However, we haven't uncovered anything about any relation. Honestly, he seems to have been fairly a loner in terms of at least his interpersonal life. Wasn't the kind of guy who was going out with his friends on the weekends or meeting up with people. Again, 20 years old, living with his parents. High IQ, certainly. He was a gamer.
So he was smart. Wait, I had to cut you off. So he had a high IQ. So he was kind of a smart guy. Okay, wow. I didn't realize that.
A very smart guy. Essentially, we even had a 1,500 SAT score. So very
smart. He got a 1,500. Yes. Wow. So he was very smart.
Very highly intelligent. So this is not someone who would do something potentially as rash as try to take out the president without a plan or without potentially working with others. And certainly someone who knew how to obfuscate his tracks when it came to online collection or online communication. So if he were using, we know about some encrypted apps already, but if this guy were using encrypted apps for communications, even beyond, by the way, like the Signal and Discord and things that the average person knows, there are so many ways to cover up your tracks to stop what you're doing. Disappearing messages, entire apps that have disappearing, creating networks that are only available at a certain time and then disappear from the wider network. And again, if he was talking to people in the crowd, he would be able to do that, and the text would not be findable anywhere or searchable anywhere. And so there are a lot of indications that he did not do this alone. We haven't seen anything necessarily in terms of sexuality, as you said. Can't find anything one way or the other, to be honest, in terms of this. Just seems to be very secluded. Although I will say, though, that we know for a fact that when he was going to the gun range in 2023, that it appears that, so some of the logs have been released from that gun range, and that during those periods, there was always someone that he signed into the gun range with. And so there's always a name that's redacted on the files that we've gotten, that, and it could be his father, could be a friend, etc. But it seems like throughout, not this year, but last year, every time he went to the range, he went with someone.